All right, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of the great millstone that rule well, teach well, while learning truth, 100% according to the Bible. And I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000, the men, prophet service, scattered abroad, the four corners of the earth. And shalom to you, Akawaf, which are you few sisters out there that are sincere, your children. Shalom. And in today's video, as you can see, is going to be a World War III news update. And it's just going to basically be building off of the current news of things that you ultimately have taken place. And you got a lot of things that are occurring at this current moment. So I'm going to just get into this video that I got here, as you can see from this guy, NY Prepper. And as you can see from the title, it said emergency alert. U.S. bombers flying to Venezuela again. Strikes on Venezuela could be hours away. So, you got them basically talking about how, America is, deploying and putting a lot of forces near the coast of Venezuela, which could mean that they're ultimately, preparing to attack him, which we know that we're living in a time of season of war, man. That's exactly what, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is bringing upon the face of the earth, man. You see, that's why you got all of these various countries. They're all at odds right now, man, mainly America and all of these other nations, which ultimately all of this stuff is going to stir up the pot, which is going to lead to the Third World War, because we're already in the beginning stages of World War III. It just ultimately hasn't, heated up yet to what it's going to get to real soon. So I'm actually grabbing Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and I start at verse 1. It says, to everything there is a season, and to a time every purpose under the heaven. Yeah. So everything that ultimately happens in planet Earth, it all happens at an appointed time that the Heavenly Father, allows these things to take place in. And as it says, I'm going to go down to verse 8, which is the point. It said a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Yeah, man. And we definitely in the time of season of war. So like I said, that's why you see so many different conflicts ultimately taking place all throughout planet Earth. You see, because we're in the time of war. You see, so, hey, that's the spirit that the Lord has in the minds of these leaders in all of these different countries right now, man. You see, that's why you see the tensions between America and Russia. They're continuing to escalate more and more. The tensions between, the Amalekites and, the Iranians, and all of these other various different countries, man. Right. Because the Lord has it in the spirit of these leaders to be in the mindset of war. Because like I said, that's what time we're in, and this is what's coming down the pipeline, man, So I'm going to get straight into the video. We're going to listen to some of it. We're going to listen to the news of what the guy's talking about, of the things that are occurring. And I grab a few more precepts, and Lord's willing to be edifying to you brothers and you few sisters out there that may come across this. So with that being said, fair use. I'm not getting paid for this video. Fair use.
What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, a.k.a. NY Prepper. It is Monday, November 24th, 2025, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 12:48 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Venezuela. So it looks like we are just hours away from this massive attack on Venezuela. U.S. nuclear forces are on high alert. And right now, this afternoon, we have 3 U.S. B-52 strategic bombers airborne. We have 2 of them flying south towards the Gulf. And their call signs are Pappy 12 and Pappy 11. You can see them here in southern Alabama, heading straight towards the Caribbean. We also have one in the Midwest, heading northeast, which is pretty interesting. We also have a presidential doomsday plane that was moved from MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa to Wright-Patterson after flying close to the D.C. area. This is a doomsday plane for the President of the United States. He can command the entire U.S. military from this plane. We also have a nuke sniffer plane going up towards Alaska. For some reason, these planes can detect radiation in the atmosphere.
Right. So you hear what it is the guy's saying, just for the little bit of the video I did, a lot of play. And yeah, man, you see America has a lot of their forces in the air right now, a lot of B-2, bombers and things like that. And things, they're moving a lot of assets, a lot of military, aircraft and, carriers and things like that. I mean, you wouldn't do these things if you didn't know that war was coming, you see. So like I said, they're literally setting everything in place. And really, it's Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man, because as it tells us in Proverbs 21:1, It says that the king's heart, right? Meaning these leaders, they're the kings, and their minds is in the hands of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turned through whithersoever he will. And ultimately, every thing that we see ultimately playing out is all going according to the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Everything is going according to the will of prophecy, you see. And like I said, we're already in the beginning stages of World War III, but we're going to only continue to see things escalate because we understand and know, you see, in case some of you brothers and sisters may not know, but, you got Venezuela there in league with Russia, right? Right along with China and North Korea and these other different nations. They're all in unison with each other. And you already got Vladimir Putin that's ultimately, sending his military might to aid and to support Venezuela. So if America does, try to attack, Venezuela or do whatever it is that they may think in their mind they're going to do, then you best believe that Russia, right along with these other nations, are going to come to the aid of Venezuela. So like I said, we living in a time where, you got war on multiple fronts, man, in Russia and Ukraine, you got that whole situation. You got North Korea, South Korea, you got China, Taiwan, you got Iran, Israel, multiple various different fronts where wars can just pop off at any time, man, and things can get critical. But we know that, World War III is not going to ultimately, reach the intensity level it's going to get to until ultimately the MOTB microchip comes to pass, you see. But we are seeing everything get set in place for what's to come, So I'm actually grab Revelations 11 and verse 14. It says the second woe was past. Talk about World War II. It already occurred from 1939 to 1945, right? It already passed. It says, behold, the third woe coming quickly, which is talking about the battle of Armageddon, the third world's war, the war of all wars, man, the war that is going to end wars, man, because this war that we know is going to come is going to be a war like no other because it's going to be ultimately fought with these nuclear missiles, man. Right. That's why it's no coincidence. You got all of these various countries, especially America and Russia. They're doing all of these, nuclear bomb tests, man. Right. And they've been doing these things recently for the last few weeks. And that's because, like I just, quoted, the king's heart being in the hands of the Lord. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is controlling everything, man. He's putting these devils and these heathens in the spirit of war, man, because that's what's coming. You see. So I'm actually grab that real quick, through the spirit. We're going to grab this precept as well, because like I said, this is ultimately, what's on the horizon. These are the things that, are about to happen, so bear with me. This is Joel chapter 3, and I'm gonna go down to verse 9. It said, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, talking about these heathen nations, prepare war. And you got all of them preparing war. You got these Edomites, which are the Russians, right along with these Babylonian Americans. They're all Edomites, right? They're preparing for war. They're getting their military might ready, getting everything in place and position. You got Moab, which are the so-called Chinese. They're doing the same. You got Ammon, the so-called Japanese. They're arming up their forces, right? You got these Elamites, these Ishmaelites, the so-called Arabs. All of these different nations, they're all preparing, man, right? Because ultimately, like I said, the Lord is putting the spirit on them to prepare for what's to come, man, right? So it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Yeah, man, because eventually the Lord is going to round up all of these nations and their militaries and going to drag them down over there to the Middle East, man. You see, right over there to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, man, where they're all going to fight it out with each other. That's what everything is going to lead to, But it says, verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. And that's what you see going on now, because a lot of these countries that were, at once upon a time militarily considered weak, now they're no longer weak, man, because they ultimately have allies and they have military capabilities, mainly nuclear capabilities to stand against America, man. Right. Because at most upon a time, or once upon a time, I should say, back in the, old days, when America was basically one of the strongest countries, because we understand and know that there used to be a time when, no one would have ultimately stood up to America, Babylon the Great, because this was one of the most, feared countries at once upon a time. But the roles have reversed, man, because, America, these devils, they're losing their power and we're at the end of their rulership, man. So all of these nations, they're no longer scared of this place like they used to. Because, like I said, they got military capabilities. They got allies that, are going to come to their defense if anything ultimately occurs. You see? So it says, verse 10 again, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak sound strong, man. Right? And like I said, you got all of these weak nations that were once upon a time, not as strong as they are now. They're strong, man, due to their allies and the weaponry that they now possess, right? You got a lot of these countries that at once upon a time didn't have nuclear missiles. Now they have them. And if they don't have them, guess what? Somebody that they're in league with, they possess them, right? Verse 11, it said, assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, right? Talking about these heathen nations, right? And gather yourselves together round about thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, right? It says, verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew goes into Yahweh Shaphat, where the Lord is going to bring all of these nations down to judge them, right? It says, and gather yourselves, Salakia, let the heathen be wakened and come to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Yeah, man. So this is the time that's fastly approaching, where Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is about to judge these heathens, man. Mainly Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, but as well as you other heathens. That's what's coming. And he's going to use this third world war to do it, man. So like I said, that's why we only going to continue to see things, escalate all throughout planet Earth. Right? With these wars and rumors of wars, man, they're going to, heat up real soon, man. And we seeing the build up, which is ultimately leading to what's to come, So, yeah, man, we're definitely in these times and seasons. That's why this is a time like now more than ever, for us hopeful elect brothers and sisters, speaking to myself first and foremost, to be watching, to be praying, to be occupied in prophecy, and definitely keeping up with everything that's happening because, you got a lot of things taking place, man. Right now. And, if you're not watching and, being occupied, then guess what? It's so many things happening at once. You can, be distracted, man. You see, that's why the scriptures tells us, to, let me grab it. We got to be sober in these times, man, because, hey, we're definitely living in a time and season where things are about to heat up, man, for the worse. And we got to, be on our watch, right? This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. And I'll actually read, I start at verse 1 and read on down, right, through the Spirit. It says, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. Yeah, that's talking about us hopeful elect brothers and you few sisters out there. Hey, because we understand what time and season we're in. The majority of the people on the earth, mainly of among our own people, they don't know that we're living in a time of war. They don't know that World War III is about to come. They don't know that, this place, America, Babylon the Great, that the Heavenly Father through his only begotten Son is about to destroy this damn place, that this place is at its end. These people don't know these things, man. You see, they believe that this country just going to continue to keep running on forever. That everything in this place is going to, be normal. No, man, the Lord is about to bring judgment upon this place, man. You see, and we're living in the times of these things getting ready to come to pass, man. You see, but like I said, only the Lord's hopeful elect men and women know the times that we're living in. That's why the scriptures say measuring the time diligently in itself. These people don't know how to measure the time diligently. You see, they don't know what time and season we're in, man. That's why, as it tells us in the scriptures, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the Son of Man. People were eating, they were giving in marriage, they were drinking. That's what's going to happen when everything hits the fan, man. It's going to come upon these people unawares because they too busy, caught up with all of the madness and everything that's going on in their lives, man. It don't matter. You see, these people paying attention to all the wrong things, man. You see, and I'm talking about Jake, the majority of our people, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, they're not paying attention to what's getting ready to happen. You see, their mind is on, celebrating Thanksgiving that's about to come up, eating turkey and ham and, abominations. And, these people are just through, man. Right. But this is verse 2. It says, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, so cometh as a thief in the night. Verse 3, for when they shall say peace and safety, right, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon women with child, and they shall not escape. And that's the time that we living in, man, where destruction is going to come suddenly, man. It's going to come when these people least suspect it. Things are going to take a turn for the worse real soon, man. We in that time, right? Verse 4, but ye brethren, right, us hopeful elect brothers and sisters, right, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Yeah, these times when they come, when World War III really heats up, when this devil makes it mandatory that you got to take this implantable device in order to buy and sell, which we know is coming. You see, when everything really begins to heat up, guess what? It's not going to catch us by surprise because, hey, we're being occupied in prophecy. We know these things coming. We know the Lord about to bring judgment. So, hey, we're not, going to be in the blind when these things come. You see, because we're paying attention. You see, we doing what the Lord told us to do, man, right? What does it say in 1 Peter 4:7? It says, but the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer, right? So we got to be watching and praying in these times. You see, ultimately that we're deemed worthy to escape the things that we know are about to come upon the earth. Because, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is about to get busy, man. You see, real busy. So I'm going to finish reading. It says, but ye brethren are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Verse 5, ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of night nor of darkness. Yeah, man, we're not of the darkness. You see, like these people are, the majority of them. Verse 6, it says, therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. And like I said, this is the speaking of myself first and foremost, of course, we got to be in this spirit now more than ever, man. We got to be paying attention to everything. Because like I said, there's so much stuff going on that if you're not watching, you'll miss it, man. And this is not a time, that you want to be, not paying attention, man. You see, that's what the true, worshipers of Yahweh Shem Yahushua will be doing, man. They're going to be watching because ultimately we're watching for the return of our Lord, man. You see, so we got to be occupied in these prophecies. We got to be paying attention to all the events and everything that's going on, man. You see, because we know what time we're in. So I'm going to read verse 6 again. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober, right? And that's what we got to continue to do, So with that being said, Lord's willing, I pray this video be edifying to you brothers and you few sisters out there that may come across it. With that being said, we're going to end the video by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua by Hashem Rakah. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of the great millstone that rule well and teach well while learning truth 100% according to the Bible. Till the next time, I'm going to say shalom to the elect. Shalom.